meeting of the Culver Redevelopment Commission to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance.
Flag, United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, in Sarah's absence, I guess I'll handle the roll call. Jerry Seiler. Here. Jenny Monroe.
Here.
Sarah Jones is not here. Deli Richardi.
Here.
Marty Oosterbaan. Here. Okay. First order of business is approval of the minutes from the December 19th, 2024 meeting. I know that Sarah has circulated that to all of us and got responses from some of us, perhaps all of us. Is there any discussion relative to those minutes? Any additional corrections or clarifications? Any? I have a second. All right, Dally. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is officer elections. I believe we start with getting sworn in.
I got 2 copies for you and for me. And then Peter guys.
Here, I'm wondering.
If you rise and raise your right hand, do it in mass, and then just after it in the appropriate spots. I.
Martin Oosterbaan.
Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Where that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And faithfully.
And that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge my duty as a Culver Redevelopment Commission member of the town of Culver, according to the law, to the best of my skill and ability.
I think you do it without any prompting.
I gotta memorize that.
Not your first rodeo. Yeah, I need to just sign both copies.
Do we have any disclosures that need to be signed?
Actually, that I would, you need to. Those get presented to the.
Okay.
There's cute. That
Error on the side, yeah, do not be the Kevin Dante. Did not think that Kevin Dante approaching it. Officer elections. I'm about to open the floor for nominations. We need to decide where to start on that.
We nominated Marty, you as chair of the Culver Redevelopment Commission.
Before
Second it.
Too late.
Aye. Aye.
Sorry.
all opposed? Okay. Now we need a nomination for vice president.
I'll nominate Sally for vice president.
I will second that. Are there any alternative nominations? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor of Sally Richardi as vice president for the Culver Redevelopment Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. We need a secretary. And Sarah has served in that capacity in the past, but has indicated the difficulty in doing that. So
Sorry, I'm documenting what we've done so far because I have a really bad feeling about how this is gonna go.
Well, I guess since she's on top of it. You're not gonna step up?
I think Jerry feels he might need a little more seasoning on the commission before he's ready to do that role. But
Well, I guess-
you're free to make a nomination.
Hold on, Nate,
I'll second.
Glad you did
As
it.
long as I don't
Can't
have.
hold it against me. All right, let's, is there any alternative nominations? Hearing none. I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving Jenny Monroe as Secretary of the Copeland Redevelopment Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Congratulations and sincere congratulations to all of you for your appointments.
Please.
I really look forward to our work together this year. Okay. It didn't hurt too much. We need to determine our meeting dates for 2025. Sarah had indicated that I think the third Thursday was better than the second Thursday. I know our cadence last year of the fourth Thursday is a problem for me. I'm wondering how it works for you.
I think it should be okay. Maybe Thursday.
Third Thursdays.
Other than it'll ruin my non-existent social life.
Jerry, how about you? Aaron?
Fine.
Aaron? Other Karen? So we'll be, right. Okay, all right. So as long as we feel we can get our work done by 6:30. Motivation? At least,
Yeah.
Kevin, you okay? Okay. All right, I don't know that we need a motion or to vote on that. You just said it, right, Karen? Yeah. So, all right, I'll entertain a motion to meet on the third Thursday at 5 PM at Town Hall for our monthly redevelopment commission meeting. Is there anybody motioning that?
So moved.
Can I get a second? I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. All right, we're meeting on the third Thursdays. Thank you. All right. Main Street renovation project. Susie, good to see you here. Yeah,
I'll go to the meeting and find out.
wonderful, wonderful. It's great to see you. Great to see you. Yeah. So, so this is open discussion. Part of I know we have public comments, but this is intended to be a means by which we can be as transparent as possible and, get as much feedback as we can on this project. It is a standing agenda item, so there may not be a lot of stuff to talk about every month, but it's going to be something that we talk about every month. What we did in the spending plan for this year, for the first time, we had to do a spending plan. And in that spending plan, we set aside some, the number escapes me, $350,000 towards capital projects. There were other dollars set aside for professional fees if we needed or felt a desire to engage consultants or other professionals in some of our work. And the idea is that we would use that money toward projects that were called for in the Culver comprehensive plan, which was completed in 2024. One of those projects is the Main Street renovation project. We'd like to see an investment made in Main Street. And we have talked about it at several meetings over the last half year, I guess. And I think I speak for the commission, but correct me if I go wrong here. We feel it's an important thing for us to do and to support. we want to make sure that we do it right. We don't want to underinvest. We don't want to overinvest. And we're not exactly sure what is the best way for us to use what money we can support that work with. So where it stands is that we're looking for that the Develop Culver Main Street organization to help lead that discussion. And I know that they are working to try to put together a new board and kind of go down that road. Kevin has been talking to members of that group. I've been talking to members of that group. I've sat in a meeting with two. And I know that that group is intending or has already extended some invitations to Main Street retailers. I think there's a invitation to join that board out to Joe Fox at the library. I think he's already maybe even agreed to do that. I don't know. And Jenna Workman has received an invitation. There may be others. I just don't know. But I know they want to expand that board and then kind of start going down that road as far as getting a master plan together for Main Street renovation. And as the commission has talked about it, Ginny had an idea that kind of resonated, I think, with us, where she talked about it in terms of from Papas to Pinders. What would we have as the vision for every property as you walk from Papas to where Pinders used to be there at the south end of Main Street? Would they, and so could we move toward trying to develop that vision and then specifically come up with a master plan for the 3-block stretch there, which runs from your place essentially to the BP station? What would be a master plan for investment in that 3-block area? Toward that end, I know the Main Street Commission, and I've been assisting them, I'm going to just call them Main Street, has done some investigation as to what consulting advice might be out there. And there were 3 inquiries that were sent out and 3 proposals that they received, one of which they rejected, but 2 they continue to look at. One is from an operation called Small Nation. They're out of a place called Bellefonte, Ohio. They've been working at redoing the Main Street there for about 10 years and have they have a real estate developer mindset. So when they engage towns, they actually do the investing along with the consultant. The other firm that they're looking at is a firm called Veritas out of Indianapolis, and they're much more of a traditional consulting firm that has ex-town managers and other engineer types that have assisted Indiana towns in revitalizing their Main Street, and they put together a proposal as well. So the question now is what to do with those 2 proposals. Do we bring on that expertise? Do we commit those dollars? And so that's the next step. And toward that end, there's 2 things that are going to take place. One is that there will be a contingent from town that will go to Bellefonte, Ohio, and meet with the Small Nation people and kind of get their pitch firsthand and see the work that they've gotten done. And they will come back and we're the commission here in the December meeting agreed to support that work by paying for their overnight stay and mileage back and forth up to $2,500, I think. And we put a proviso in that grant that at least 2 retailers from Main Street had to be part of that group, as well as someone from the utilities department of the town had to be part of that contingent that went. I know that Main Street has obtained some dates from Small Nation and is currently trying to get that calendar. So that's where that stands. The other group, Veritas, that one's kind of in my court. And what we agreed to do at our last meeting was to put together a work session that would include members of this commission, members from the town council and stakeholders, as well as the general public to attend. And we would invite Veritas into town to essentially present their proposal to us and allow questions to be asked. And then based on what they learn in Bellefonte, Ohio, and what we hear from Veritas when they come, we'll figure out what to do from there. Do we want to keep looking at more expertise? Do we think they're too expensive, or do we think we could do it ourselves? Right, there's all the options are still out there. So we're kind of in the early stages. I'm going to stop there and open it up for any questions, thoughts, comments.
There's one other thing that I might add with that. Those are some of the higher questions that we're looking for consulting. When we met with the retailers and when we met at Cafe Max, we prioritized some of the concerns and questions we felt like needed expertise, needed that kind of consulting guidance. And then there's the level of concerns, issues that were brought to our attention that we feel are, I wouldn't call them small wins, but immediately within our ability to affect change. Some of the things like banners, some of the signage ideas that you mentioned downtown, some of those are well within our ability to affect change this summer. We just don't want to go into these higher questions without consulting and having the knowledge, so we don't misallocate or misuse resources.
I think one of the questions we had was like, if empty storefronts, would it make sense for also some that have been for sale forever? Would it make sense to do a couple different things like change our zoning where you can't have a vacant building for as long as some of them have been vacant? But it makes sense for redevelopment to invest by buying one of them and creating a reasonable lease rate for potential new business or business that would contribute to bringing foot traffic. We started thinking about, well, we could use some of our funds to do that. Like, do we need to buy a building or rent a building or whatever the case was? And it was just like so many different options for how you could handle empty storefronts if that were the one thing we picked. And then of course, things like the movie theater have always been like, do we need to make investment in a capital project or go after grant dollars for that type of project? And at the same time, I think we got approached by the bank project as a potential, like, do we want to do that? Do we want to, invest in a building with that? There's so many different, I guess, opportunities, and we need to like get back together with stakeholders, all the retail merchants, potentially land boards, etc. Who knows? But like, we've never rezoned anything in that two block area that you're in, Susie, or also in the upper blocks of Main Street to prevent this vacant building thing. We've had some of those buildings have been for sale. And they're not getting filled with anyone, let alone purchased. So, but everyone felt like we needed some sort of master plan or some sort of, kind of like the old Chevette, list of bulleted things that we could all agree on working on with some intention to achieve the objective of filling some empty storefronts, bringing foot traffic back to Main Street, in addition to bringing year-round housing, population. But we kind of, aside from the comp plan, it rose as an issue in the comp plan, but there's not like a plan behind that. There's not a, we'll go about bringing back Main Street this way. Just haven't done that.
There's an awful lot of good ideas, ones that you can just jump on and say, yeah, we should do this. What I'm wanting to do though is maybe take a little bit more time on the front end to make it more efficient down the line, and get alignment up front, all the stakeholders that have a stake right in this. It's probably 5-year at least, maybe 10-year project, probably 20, maybe $30 million if you do it, all the way, based on what I've seen other towns do. And I don't want to get down the road, even a little way down the road, and have questions come up. Why did you hire this? Why does the plan look like this? Why didn't you think about this? Why are you going in this direction? Why did you favor this project over this project? I'd much rather have that dialogue up front. And not everybody's going to be happy, but at least let's get it all, up there and discuss. And then once we have as much alignment as we can possibly gather around that, that's what I mean by master plan. Then from there, it's a matter of execution. Then we can go executing. And there's a lot of different ways towns have gone to do that. Some is, tax, using grants and tax dollars. Some have used private and community foundation dollars to get it done. Some redevelopment commissions have become the developers of their main street. And that's just 3 of a whole bunch of different ways that you can finance this type of thing. What do you think, Susie? You got all that to bring back?
Isn't any big action in the.
Right. Yeah, and then also that nothing's going to happen with your knowing and getting input. Your input will be intentionally thought, right? Yeah.
Right,
You won't just know, you'll be
Right.
part of it,
Well, that.
right? Okay.
And apart from like in the works, the only things that we can put in the works are those are the projects we've discussed. Those don't require, those are necessary banners. You voiced it downtown. Those are things we're committed to trying to get going this summer, right? And get them up. Look at the signage. I'm talking to Bob about some different signs, very similar to the street signs. And the light poles that go downtown, if you expanding those out around the immediate area, kind of changing some of the signage. So there's conversations started. So those are things we can be able to keep working on with downtown owners, Main Street owners. But these higher things, like you said, yeah, gotta get into.
Yeah, I think we still want to keep the facade program going just for businesses using that money already for good use. And like we don't want to do away with programs that are having effect in a positive way. But we also have to engage with the academy because they own lots of property on Main Street.
Yeah.
That isn't bringing any foot traffic to Main Street or really being utilized that we can tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we've already had an initial, Kevin and I did meet over there and got a very positive response.
And the thing is, we may need to rezone or implement something zoning wise because we had this conversation 2 years ago with them. It's not changing overnight,
Right.
obviously, but if it's not going to change, then we probably need to implement something that would not allow a building to be completely deactivated on Main Street. I'm just putting that out there because
No.
I plan to bring that to whatever
Most
stakeholder committee meetings we're
most-
having.
yeah, most Main Street redos have had zoning at its core, changed zoning at its core. Yeah, I'm also reading a book about zoning actually because I'm such a nerd, right? That has that as its central theme about how important zoning is for
Yeah.
renovations.
And from that standpoint, we've got to have the planning commission attend any of these Main Street project meetings that we end up doing. We want to get something implemented there. That's a lengthy government process that we want to
You don't want to rush it. You don't want to bring people on the time.
Yeah,
I agree.
and we tend not to remember the plan commission, but lawfully, they have to make some things happen if we want to do some things on Main Street from a
Okay.
zone perspective.
Great point. Okay, anything else on the Main Street renovation project? Going once, twice, all right, let's go to the next agenda item. This kind of dovetails with the financials. Karen, thank you for putting it together for us, much appreciated. I'm gonna rip on this a little bit for us, if you don't mind. But I think there's a few numbers here that deserve a highlight or two. One of the things that should not go unnoticed is the interest income for the year. And you put it together, I'm just gonna eyeball it and say it's $33,000. It's Karen's work. And I want to thank Karen for taking care of our money and getting us a return on it. You do so much that doesn't get acknowledged. I just want to say thank you for that. You look at our balance, it's at the bottom of the page. The cash balance at year end, $1,078,025, or $25 and a penny. That is significantly higher than what our projection was when we first started putting our spending plan together in June of last year. We had thought that that we wanted to end up the year with we wanted to protect and have essentially an operating reserve of some 300,000. So we're about 700,000 above where we set our spending plan. And so I looked at it, and there's a couple of things. One, we underspent our spending plan of 560,000 by about $190,000, and 40 of that was the trail, the phase 3, and I was wondering if that's going to hold over into this year, kind of where that all is going to go.
Yes, it's been, that's. Okay.
Okay.
I did not use here.
Okay. Oh, okay. So we actually did spend it.
So you did spend.
Oh, okay. I'm really glad we're going forward with that.
Keep that in mind.
A lot of work went into that, right, Jenny?
A tail end of it is all the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I work.
Certainly.
And the council themselves. On a related matter to this, as we move forward with projects, one thing we'd like to council, no answer tonight, but the consideration of maybe that contribution, a bit stronger contribution that we talk about with the Cass Street and actually growing with the TIF area, putting sidewalks in, maybe offset some of those expenses with the development. Again, just for consideration. It was something that we've had conversation about.
I feel like the town zone comes out higher 6 years after the original estimate.
It's just offsetting that.
The increased construction
That's right.
Yeah.
cost
Yeah.
over the estimated
Yeah.
construction cost.
Yeah.
And what is this forecast? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what happened was with phase 3, And end up packaging together with the gas. So they're actually one project. What we did was we received the overage amount. I think when we offset with redevelopment funds, we had was sitting at 235,000. Memory serves well. Didn't it? Yeah, let's do that. Instead of Kevin's guessing game, yeah.
So the total cost. For the town's portion. 80. Or did that have a,
There we go.
the town's portion is. Um. There was. And right now, there's maybe
And you've applied the 140 to, does the 140 get applied to that then?
yeah, the whole bill is.
Right,
So the remaining piercing fund reply to that. There's funds, there's still remaining
right,
money.
okay,
The 247 was to complete the project versus 200. We would have had to come up with terminate the project.
right.
So that became less.
Yeah, that's pretty simple math. So I guess I'm just, I'm looking at it from memory, the budget the budget number we had for that was, I think, 140,000. And your numbers, is that, I'm just trying to,
So that came
right,
following through all of the expenses for.
so the overage that you were talking about, the 53,000, the 48,000, is that in addition to that
So that's the
140,
money
or
that,
is that?
that's the remaining.
Oh, okay, of the one.
It takes
The
the
140
three,
of the entire.
yeah, it takes the 349 down to about 247, once you apply those.
So we're
Yeah.
sitting with
Yeah.
247 in front of us.
Yeah. I've got it.
So we're,
Well, that's interesting. Okay. Because in our spending plan for last year, we had the number in there at 140. And then, so we weren't accounting for money that was already spent on our behalf. So, yeah, I think we probably have some things we could talk about there. Yeah, if I'm following the math. Okay. Okay, thank you. What else did I want to mention there? The revenue side. So we talked about the expense side. The revenue side, we had that pegged at 550, and the revenues actually came in, as you can see there, at 807 for the year. So it's about a quarter of a million better than we anticipated. And part of that is also because when we already had more than we anticipated, we just didn't know it at 6 months in. So you put all that together, and that's how you get the difference between 300,000 and essentially $1.1 million in the bank at year end. So we're doing good, right? Got $1.1 million, which sounds great. In the context of a Main Street renovation and all the capital projects in the plan, that obviously doesn't take it very far. But if we are judicious and we use it right to perhaps the seed money to generate development or grants or things like that, we can try and make that go further, make that go as far as we can. I think probably there is some thought to be given to, whether or not there's financial advantage in accelerating the pay down any debt, that we've got. We've got, bonds. We're finishing off one, we got one next year, right? And then we've got the capitalized interest that we're paying on for the dunes. Getting ahead of that, could significantly reduce the interest income that we would pay under those bonds. Especially if we hit it early, so there may be some value in that, but I wouldn't want to get debt free and not have any money to make investments, for Main Street or some of these capital projects. So there's some trade-offs there, but I think we do the math, and talk about it and come to a decision as to what's the best thing to do. Happy problem to have, right? So, all right, with that, I'll open it up for any discussion, questions. Otherwise, we have both November and December financials to approve. Can we do them together, Karen?
Make a motion to approve November and December's financials.
All right. We've got a motion to approve the financials for November and December. Do I have a second? All right. Thank you, Jerry. All in favor of approving the financials signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Financials are approved. Great. We've got claims to approve. Total claims 97,207. Right. So let's talk about this one at a time. We've got $345 going to Barnes and Thornburg relative to TIF 1. We've got $48,862 going for bond payment to First Bank of Monterey, $30,000 to the town of Culver for the annual water commission commitment. We've got $20,000 that we approved last month, subject to signing of the MOU to the One Marshall County organization. And I understand that MOU has been reviewed. Check is in here. All right. That's how you get to the 97,207.50. And then Karen would like us to add 101.
715.
713. 757.
That's the amount.
207.50 for INDOT. Okay. So my math says $198,964.63.
Correct, it's close.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to for claims in the amount of $198,964.63.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Jenny, Sally, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Claims are
Is that
approved.
the last bond payment then? Yay.
Yay. All right, this is our favorite part of the show, public input. Everybody's favorite part.
Can I make a request from the public input section?
Yes, you're public.
Bob approached me. Originally, we'd been talking about the clock. He came up downtown. We had several people. Very passionate topic. What are we doing with it? Initially, to replace the thing, we were looking at a bill about $35,000. Bob, being the frugal Bob that he is, one little shopping, we found an ability. We can pull down the clock. The existing company that used to take care of it, they've had an offshoot. We can totally renovate the whole inner workings. Labor and parts material for 7737. We're going to get it painted, put right back in its original mountain. The total bill for it is $8,111.40. And we're just asking for if we don't with that. Usually we thought that was going to be closer to about $17,000 ask. I'll bring that down. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, the gentleman that's going to do the work is also going to provide us a service contract. Times are very good. Thank you.
I think, wasn't there at some point, Karen, a fund that people contributed to for the maintenance of the clock? Or am I thinking of a different project?
There was a raising
Of,
afterward, and those funds have been.
I thought maybe that was the case.
Rated.
Yeah, I remember. Yes, like even before Jonathan, I think there was a repair in Michael Dawson.
That's
been a while.
that I'm getting.
Yeah, I want to say like 8 or 10 years ago.
This goes falls into you. You know, meeting wins kind of thing. The clock's not working. Times.
If we wait even longer, would it come in half again, the cost?
No, this is it, Marty. We literally squeezed the beat. We really, I give Bob a lot of credit. We really, the 11th hour, we found 35,000 was
Was that the replacement cost?
that's basically,
The new
yes.
clock?
It was a new clock.
It was, yeah,
That was,
there's a brand new, spanking new, take off the mounted, reliant.
yeah.
I don't think it was as big.
It was not as big. And believe me when I say this, a little bit notice that wasn't the original clock. So this way we preserve the original.
Yeah, we've had a few people in here upset about it.
Yeah.
On some meetings.
Again, it's those things that I like to try to take care of downtown, bad deciders, manners.
Yeah.
Get this stuff moving. We've got the documentary coming in the spring, all this good stuff. That's where we're at.
Susie, any thoughts? You look at that clock every day, right?
No, I don't, honestly. I guess my thought would be, is there now a projected annual cost associated with this contract?
Service contract.
And so,
I don't have those numbers yet, Susan, but the answer is yes. There will be, and it will be reasonable because companies will more local.
I mean, I don't know what reasonable it is.
Nor do I, but I can say it's more reasonable than flying somebody from Alabama. That's about where I'm at.
So is it gonna? That is something you would say. Because you're talking about, it's a great price to rehab. But if it's 1,000 every year, just keep it. And we do. I'm not saying either way.
No, I understand. No, I understand your point. Maybe if we,
What
maybe-
you guys get at one point
It
is to get. It wasn't going. There's so. Now.
no, I appreciate the suggestion. Maybe I
That's
get,
all.
yeah, no, maybe I get the maintenance quote and I could have that and maybe I'll catch you guys next month on this one. And come back. That's reasonable because it does factor.
I love the dog and Alex.
Yeah, that got me. Yeah, up to that point, I wasn't on board, but then that
3 dogs not really.
really
Dog.
put me over.
Not really a
All right,
So let me revisit you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really an $8,000
All right.
fix.
see if the price goes down again.
Let's see if we can. get it down. Haggle.
All right,
And it might be a great deal, but.
Well, there you go.
yeah, fair enough.
Back now. Yeah.
And if you have somebody in place for the upkeep, that's good also, unless they wanted to train somebody to do the upkeep.
That was my thinking. I don't want to just throw a clock and then have it break a month later and not have somebody that can work on it. It doesn't do us any good. So let me see what that price is.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah, that's another question they asked. I thought of asking. The maintenance part I was waiting on, but I think it should be up front.
Public input. Thanks, Susie, for your suggestion. Appreciate it. Kurt, anything from you?
Thanks. I just joined to find out what's going on, with redevelopment and everything. If I can talk a little bit off the record, just so I can talk a little bit more openly, we are.
Before I need to say something that I should have said at the very beginning of this meeting, that this meeting is being recorded and
Okay.
will be replayed
Oh, there you go.
on the Town of Culver
So nothing's off the record anymore.
YouTube channel.
Siri knows
Right.
that nothing's
And
off.
your participation in this meeting is your
Consent.
consent to be part of our program. So
I just wanted to mention that and make sure everybody. Getting closed as a foundation. And, we're starting to look more heavily. Often people down a little bit more about everybody's ideas once now that we're getting past. But, certainly our intent and the donation to us is based on, maintaining it as a group. And develop it. And also as a community center, I think, I don't know how else really to get it to work. But we'd like to be in partnership with development and this is a foundation called the Maxon Country Performing Arts Theater Foundation. It was formed about 2 years ago. I guess 2.5 years ago. As Tom Wayne was trying to figure out what to do with it and how to handle it. Some people might say it would have been far better off selling it. We wanted to buy it. Or asking them to buy it to sell it to him, but he didn't do that. But we did create this foundation. We hope to be a part of the redevelopment of things. Just a general announcement that we're getting close. Something's actually going to happen.
Can you repeat the name of the foundation, Kurt?
That's a mouthful. We call it MPAT. It's Maxon Country Performing Arts Theater Foundation. A couple of reasons to get all those words in them. We are a nonprofit organization, fairly small board. We're looking at major donors right now and planning that out. So I'm kind of the construction guy. I'm an engineer, construction projects guy. And so I'm looking at writing specs for big consultant stuff, feasibility studies, refurbish, rebuild, that. Like to move quickly, and we've also made a commitment to the town to have something quite sure.
it's exciting stuff. It's, as you know, one of the first things that comes up whenever you engage, we do public engagement about, what should we be doing around town, and the theater comes up every time. Yeah.
Any votes on El Rancho or Culver Theater, or what is it called, actually? People have a lot of disagreement.
Yeah.
As long as it's called open, I don't care.
Was it Northtown at one time?
Right,
Was it Northtown at one?
Uptown. Was it called?
Yeah, it was El Rancho for years.
I think like the early 80s.
Yeah, because that's my memory.
Well,
I feel like I saw Rancho image here.
it was El Rancho when I was a kid. So you're talking 50s.
Yeah, part of the reason that Tom Wayne bought it in the first place was his desire to retain something that was a bit of a landmark from the Culver Academy cadet. A kind of an interesting point of view, but the number of people, his friends that I talked to, and what a lifeline that place was for cadets back at the time. That was their 2 hours to go sit in the dark and not have anybody yell at them or bother them or get their face done. They go there religiously every week.
Number of dates, their leads and on
Yeah.
campus.
Of course, they don't need that anymore, but of course, maybe they do need a place to go. You know,
They do.
And I don't know. I don't know if that's still the case.
No, I hear from the community.
Yeah.
When I talked to a lot of the students.
There was a
I'm sure they
group
did
of-
want some more.
There was a group of students who did a game plan and wrote a letter. Yeah, that was community kiddos.
When we met with a couple of the senior leaders there at the academy fairly recently, Kevin and I, it became clear that they definitely still have that need. And the insight that I got was how important the park is to the academy students, because they come down the path and the path empties out into the park, right?
It's almost a melting pot for the academy.
Yeah, it's where it comes together,
Yeah.
the first place it comes together in town. And that when we think about how to renovate the park, we think, if we look through that lens, it really gives you a different set of ideas as to what that park, the
When I was
importance
a
of that park to this
student at
town.
the academy, going to the theater or coming into town felt more normalized for a teenager, because it's very confining as a teenager, that mindset you have as a kid to be on campus.
Right.
Like there were plenty of dances and stuff that would be organized on campus, but you loved getting off campus because you felt like you were living more of a teen life. Like even your local friends, and granted, I kind of had the best of both worlds because I lived in town and went to the school, but like you wanted to connect as teenagers do. And no teenager wants to feel like they're in jail at a social event. You know what I mean? Which is how a lot of the events would feel when you were off campus. Is like, oh, freedom. You kind of need to give that to a boarding school kid in the sense of like, because otherwise you get to college and it's just like they aren't used to having that social connection to a community.
I met with Crystal at the beach lodge, and she was looking at that basement project. She getting a quote right now for that. You kind of reinvent that space as a place where kids can go to relax. Not only that, they have to we can do projects together in that room. And so she has some interest.
Is Crystal talking to the library at all? Because I know the library is going to temporarily create some space for teens.
That's right. And they want to coordinate that, put those two.
Great.
I said, coordinate this because they can work together, not
Yeah.
overlap, but build off of each other.
Right.
And she ought to create some engagement with the actual teenagers.
We did that previously also,
Yeah.
and they had a whole.
I remember how, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
That was Andrew Scouten, who works, I don't know if he's still working at the park now, but he was the team leader.
NCRC approved of letting
15,000.
them spend some money on it. But think about when we did Stellar in the region, we engaged 86 kids. And they have a lot to say, and they think differently than maybe we did as teens. In some ways, the same way we did, but it's worth it for. We don't want to design a space they don't want. We want to hear from them in their own. The same way the merchants don't want us to work on downtown Culver without talking to the merchants, right?
Yeah.
makes sense.
Do we have anybody online? Is there any public input online? Going, gone. Okay. Anything else? If not, member input, start with you, Jerry. Sally?
No.
Karen? We already heard from you, public?
No.
All right, all right.
No.
And Karen, all right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Jerry, we didn't make a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Jerry. Thank you, Sally. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
That's one motion.